from your day, Lord. We know you were always a light, Lord. Help us, guide us, and lead us, Lord, to make decisions that honor you, Lord. We had some tough expulsions today, and Lord, just be with all those children today, Lord. Help them find you, lean on you, Lord, and just let us have a good meeting, and just bless us in all we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Dress the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll now entertain a motion to adopt our agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions on the agenda? If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome, everybody. Let's get started. We'll begin here with Dr. Hanlon, who's always bringing good news, big information today.
A smile on her face.
Always happy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, today I'm bringing to you the list of the final recommendations for the ELA K-12 textbook adoption and the 9-12 personal finance. I want you to note that in previous times, we've talked about the intervention materials. I've been in constant contact with NEFECT, and they came back from their Fatima conference and finally got an answer in writing from DOE. And although the statute alluded to the fact that it would go through the adoption process for instructional materials, it is not. So we went through all the processes and then found out that we do not have to do a formal adoption. So they will have a state adopted list. That's where we can purchase intervention materials from the funding that they will be sending. They said they're going to be sending, so we'll be waiting for that, and then move on from there. So that's why it is no longer on the list.
Okay.
So this is our final recommendation for K-5 ELA. McGraw-Hill, one was 77 votes, which was 71% of the population that voted. 6 through 12 was Savas, which is 24 votes at 80%, and that's what they currently use in 6 through 12. And then personal finance is a 9 through 12 class, which are graduating seniors, not next year, the year after. So it's our sophomores that need it to graduate. They will need to take that course, and we're working on that. And that Ramsey Education was chosen for that. So what we're going to do is this meeting here opens our 30-day window for any parental objections, and that'll come before the board on April 8th for final approval. One thing I'd like you to note is on the top 3 selections for ELA and for K-5 and 6-12, there's a 1, 2, and 3. The reason we rank those is in case for some reason McGraw-Hill does not make it onto the final state adopted list, we have a backup.
That's what I was
Right,
thinking.
that's-
Okay,
Yeah.
that happened to us in math,
Okay.
and we learned that. So from then on, we decided to rank them so that
Right.
we could fall back on our second and third choices if need be.
Now, do you know if they'll have intervention materials through McGraw-Hill? But we won't know until that
They
list comes
usually
in.
do.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
they do have a tier 2, tier 3 level of support for you to use in your small groups,
Right.
things like that. But nothing specifically identified like the state is doing. When the state put together their intervention list, it was broken down, especially in reading, for under like phonemic awareness, phonics,
Gotcha.
fluency. So it broke it down specifically, and so that's where it drills down a little bit more in depth compared to the core programs having materials for intervention.
Do you have any more information about the plan for purchasing when we do?
Not yet. We have
The
some lead-
timeline involved with that?
We have a lead team meeting this week, and hopefully we'll have some clarity on that by the after that meeting. If not, it'll be most definitely by the end of we come to you on April 8th. We'll definitely have a plan because we definitely need to work that out with all parties.
And my other question is about teacher support with each of these programs.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
are we going in the purchase, does that
All
part of the
includes
package?
professional development. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the ones that we are choosing are going to give us the support that we need?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lott.
Morning.
Good morning.
Come before you again with board policy
policy 7.30 that was proposed. It has advertised for the required length of time. There has been no public comments in regard to this policy. So that unless you have some questions or things that you're concerned about that we need to change at this time, we would ask for you guys to adopt this policy. Again, it's in relation to some new requirements for federal grants and the auditing process that goes along with that.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Lott? I'll entertain a motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Lott. Mr. Wayne and Mr. Eastman. Eastman, where's your coat?
He's not doing it this morning, I don't know.
Just checking, just checking.
Morning, we're asking permission to, purchase a mini school bus, and I believe you may have some pictures pop up too,
Yeah, we have.
or y'all have?
We have.
Okay, never mind. We're asking permission because it's a sole source Matthew buses, but a school district had purchased, or I guess asked to purchase it, and then they backed out on it. So this one's gonna become available really soon, whereas they have to be made. So they're a 10 to 12 month process out of ordering it, or possibly getting on a state contract. So it's a sole source, we're asking, because it's not on the contract, to purchase this for $97,641. It's gonna be split between Cape and capital funds of purchasing it. It's gonna be a 60-40 split, with Cape paying the majority of it. They would have first come to be able to use it over anybody else, but we wanted to split it so it wouldn't just be Cape Activities getting to use this bus. And you might be able to.
So the big plus to this bus with new legislation is it does not require a CDL license. So a coach or a teacher can drive this 14-passenger
Okay,
bus.
that's what I was,
It is a true school bus, and where the students sit is a steel cage, just like the school bus. It has all LED lighting. The seating has 3-point seat belts, has a backup camera. It runs on unleaded, and gets about 15 miles to the gallon.
and how many students will it carry?
It can hold 14.
14.
This bus, the shell capacity is 18, but to meet the legislation, it has seating for 14, but that gives us a little room for coach equipment.
So where do you foresee the uses? I mean, like across the county, like,
Small groups, CTE will use it quite a
Yeah.
bit, and it's safer than the vans. And instead of taking 2 vans, you've got
right, so it's not like county.
everyone on one vehicle, and we're working on a little training program to go with it.
Okay.
And a lot of the districts are wanting these. So this one's being built now, which is great, where you'll wait 10 to 12 months for one.
This is gonna be in high demand because we have a bus driver shortage.
Well, that's what I was wondering, I know it's just
Yeah.
one, I said.
This is
Yeah.
gonna be assigned to Bronson, right?
Yeah.
This one already says activity bus on it, but in the future, they could even be ordered in yellow with stop signs where you can stop traffic.
This is a pretty good deal on this too.
I believe so.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to purchase this bad boy.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you there, Mr. Eastman.
Thank you.
Mr. Wayne.
So I also wanted to talk about a product we bought called an extended stop arm. And our buses are being passed as they're making bus stops quite often. I covered a bus route this morning. It happened to me at 2 different bus stops. Luckily, there were no students walking to the door as this happened this morning. And we have a particular bus in Williston. She is passed 3 to 4 times a day.
That is crazy.
And our drivers call in when they're passed. It's typically about 3 times a day. It's been as many as 16. And about a
One
year
route?
ago. I'm sorry,
16 on one route?
throughout the county.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, about a year ago, they changed the legislation to have stop arm camera systems that, it's an automatic system that'll write a ticket. And, what we have found as I'm watching the other districts, the law was written to make money. It's not changing behavior. And some of the districts are struggling because the way the contracts are set up is every time someone passes the bus, it's, you know, hooked to, like a cell phone and sends a signal, and you pay a $40 evidence packet immediately. And I actually heard Broward County, who is a large district, they're averaging 10,000 illegal passes a day. So they're putting out $400,000 a day in these evidence packets. The law says that an officer must review the video. So Broward County has 2 officers watching 40 videos an hour that can't catch up. Some people are beating their ticket, so it's kind of a gamble. I spoke with our sheriff's department. They're not really interested. They see the challenges with that. But I showed them this product called an extended stop arm. And it is 6.5 feet long, and it's covered with LED lights, and it doesn't completely block the other lane, but it should keep people from passing the bus. And we're gonna advertise a little bit. Here's how it works here. And this is the bus that gets passed the most in our fleet. Puts a stop sign just about across the street.
Yeah.
How high is that, Jim?
That's at about 5 feet.
And how many of these are you wanting?
We've purchased one, and it's probably gonna go back in service maybe next week. We were holding off to,
How
get
expensive?
something on social media so people know.
How expensive are these?
It was $3,700. That could save a life.
You said back in service, so it was.
We have the bus out of service now. We wanna get something on social media so people are aware that if they pass this, they could actually collide with the stop arm. And it is designed to break off. It has nylon bolts. And the sheriff's office tells me those people will be charged with an accident and illegally passing the school bus.
You're responsible for the damage caused to
Right.
stolen.
Oh, yes.
I thought passing a school bus was a felony. That was always such a big, I mean.
It's a big deal. I don't
It's
know
not
if
felony.
it's classified as a felony.
Okay, not a felony.
No.
It should
Yeah,
be.
the sheriff's office had some social media a
But the
couple of weeks
ticket
ago
is
from some of our video.
Ticket is high.
And we're getting a lot of phone calls of people saying, hey, I passed the bus, I know it was wrong, please don't put my car on social media.
Yeah.
So that actually made a huge change. And we went an entire week without being passed on this route.
Wow.
It's back to being passed about 3 times a day.
So, I don't know the process we need to go by doing this, but I like the idea of getting more of those. And, you know, you would know where the need is. We may not need one on every bus, but
Right. I think there's at least one route in each area that could use one.
Right.
I would like to see us look into more.
Yeah, we're gonna go slowly, and it could actually be knocked off the bus the very first day. It's hard to say. Hopefully not. But
Mr. Gore, would any of the purchasing of these stop arms be considered safety and grant money anywhere? What do you think about that, or Ms. Kim? Okay, just, it's not hard, school hardening, just a question.
so we keep data, and we'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. I'd like for us to figure out how to get some more.
Me too. That's what I was wondering.
Anything that's safe for kids.
Yes.
Worth the cost.
Thank you, Mr.
All right,
Wayne.
Thank you, Mr. Wayne.
All right, Mr. McClellan.
First time up at the podium.
I know. Are you nervous?
Better than this.
Better the other times I've seen you.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I wanted to share with you, and I know you've got them there in your package, the two calendars that were presented to our faculty and staff. They had, they had multiple days to vote on these. There were two calendars presented, and this is also the results. I'm sorry that we have to be well. So by looking there at the calendars, they're very similar. Pardon me?
Night vote.
Yes, it was. Yes. So as you can see there, calendar A1 with 220 votes and calendar B had 191 votes. So there was a total of 411 responses. So calendar A basically had 53.5% of the vote. When you're looking at the two calendars, there are some differences there, and I just kind of marked some of the main differences that you see. If you'll look in December, the Christmas holidays is a little different. Calendar A has basically teachers returning January 2nd, and then calendar B has teachers returning January the 5th. So there is a few differences there. And then also when you get into March, calendar A has Swanee River Fair in there, and then calendar B has the spring break, basically the same dates as the Swanee River Fair. And then calendar A has spring break in April. And the last day of school for calendar A is the 29th of May, and then calendar B, last day of school would be June 2nd, and then post-planning is June 3rd on calendar B, and post-planning for calendar A would be June 1st. So there are some differences there, but they are very similar in a lot of ways. But wanted to show what the faculty and staff voted and their results on that.
Like those weather makeup days, those are just in there.
Just put those in as needed.
Right. So like if we have a hurricane and we have to use it, then those go away, correct?
Yes, those would be student attendance days.
I love having them though.
Yes, yeah.
So calendar B did have some specific days that they worked in there, and then calendar A basically looked at possible Swanee River Fair days to make that the weather makeup days.
It's never that close. I mean, it's always really lopsided.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, both groups came up with some really great calendars, as you can tell, that everybody, it was a tight race there, so I think it was, great job on both parties coming up with calendars that everyone seemed to like.
And we need to vote, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we need to vote approval on one of the two.
I don't know if anybody else got a lot of calls on this, but I got a lot of, it surprises me that A won because there was a lot of pushback on having spring break in April later. But it's earlier, at least it's earlier in April. I'm gonna vote the majority. I mean, if the teachers vote for it, then I'll vote majority rules, but.
I think a lot of people at Swanee River Fair, though, they prefer not to have the spring break.
As spring break.
I know for 2
Right.
years, I think we did that.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Those that overlap.
Yeah.
I have two questions. One of them is, how does the county arrive at these two that the teachers vote on? What's the process that
So we
brings
had a
these?
calendar committee meeting.
Right, you still have the calendar
Yep,
committee
still have the
meeting?
calendar committee meeting. There's representation with the union, and then also teachers and staff as well.
Okay.
And they create, and actually B was the calendar they created. And then the district created 2 calendars, so there was 3 calendars total. So what we did, we got together and said, I think these 2 work better than having all 3. So we went with one of each, and then put it out there and let the faculty and staff.
Okay, and my other question is about pre-planning days. How are they designed? I know that used to be that at least 2 of them could not have any professional development,
Yes.
but how are those, because it's 6 days, right? Now it's 6 pre-planning?
Yes.
Yeah, so how's that designed?
So calendar A has an extra day of pre-planning in there, and then you've got some, of course, no-touch days where you can't pull teachers for meetings and things
Right.
like that.
How many days do you have for that?
I think there, with calendar A, I think there was 3 no-touch days, I think, where teachers. 2, okay.
Okay.
And
2
then there's-
no-touch days? And so the 4 other days will be meetings at school
Trainings.
and professional development countywide?
Yes, ma'am. One, district professional learning day, one school improvement day, 2 no-touch days, and the others will be teacher work days.
Okay.
For school use.
Right, okay. I just want to be able to explain it to teachers because I know
Right.
they're going to ask, so.
Anything else? We'll entertain a motion on which one you want.
So moved?
Which one?
Second.
A.
A.
A, sorry.
We have a motion to approve calendar A and a second. Any further questions or discussions? Which one do you like best, Mr. McClellan?
You know, I've never voted on the calendar in my 18 years being here.
The will of the people, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's, ride the fence, brother, ride the fence. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, calendar committee, for an excellent job. And now, we will move on. Now's the opportunity for public comments. We have some folks out here today. If you would like to share comments with us, you are more than welcome. Not today. All right, do we have any emails or anything that we need to address?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll move right on to our minutes from the February 11th meeting. Has everyone had a chance to read over those minutes?
Yes.
If so, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move to our consent agenda. And I'll start with me. I had no questions. So, and then I'll move to Ms. Clemency.
All my questions were answered. I do want to say, I'll leave one in particular for Devin. But the other one is Miss Gail Korn, a social worker. My mom did Christmas for the Children for years at the Methodist Church, and Miss Korn was such an invaluable person. I mean, she was just amazing as far as being an advocate for the kids and getting the right kids involved in that program, and was very hands-on and really went an extra mile. So we'll miss her in our school district. And that's all I had.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Whitehurst.
Yeah, I said we have a couple real long-term, one, Ms. Trent Schultz, started in 1999, and then also Pam Morrison, 1990. I mean, 35 years of service for this district, and she's certainly kind of been around Chiefland, Bronson, district office, Williston, so she's kind of hit most of the schools around here and took a little bit from all of them, and you know, I really enjoyed it all. So but she's looking forward to retirement. She's turned 65 last week. So, but yeah, she's looking forward to it, and so I just appreciate her service, and I know she's touched a lot of people while she's been here.
You know where she got the basis for
Oh,
being
my
And she's a Frosty graduate.
Of course.
That's right. That's right. That's all I have.
Ms. Baxter.
I know that Miss Pam will certainly be missed, and her retirement is well-deserved. It really is. And I have, all my questions were answered.
Mrs. Campbell.
Yeah, all my questions were answered, but I do want to mention that I saw where Dr. Ashley Hart is resigning. And I was very sorry to see that because she has been such an asset to our county. I worked with her as reading coach, and I know at her school she's done a wonderful job, and I wish her well. I hear that she's moving to St. Augustine. So she's picking a nice place to go, but we're going to miss her.
She's one of my kids' teachers before she got a doctorate.
All right, if there are no other comments on the consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We'll now move into finance. Does anyone have any questions concerning the finance consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
ma'am.
I made a list so I'd stay on task. Thank you for your patience in getting started a little bit later this morning. I appreciate that. A big shout out to events that have been happening since our last board meeting, but the Beast Feast was quite fun. We missed some, but it was still fun. The email that Mrs. Whitehurst sent for what they earned was $29,500. And of course, the cake auctions, the FFA cake auctions that we've all attended, they were very, very successful, and I'll let others say more about that. But if you look over to that table, I will mention, those are all the goodies. They're still good. Some have been frozen and taken back out, so they're fresh for everyone, but please take some to-go containers, and I will work with Miss Angela on all the finances and give the board a copy of everything so that you can keep that in your records and we can keep account for all the funds. I want to thank the district staff for pushing out and going into the schools lately. I know and have heard from admin that they are very grateful. And I know probably board members have heard about Mr. McClellan and Mrs. Lawrence going to each school and individually meeting with admin and listening to their concerns, finding out where we can push in and help, and raising student achievement in certain areas that we're looking at. And I think it's been a great success, and I appreciate the effort by everyone very much. The next thing is our days in Tallahassee. If you all know, it was the ladies, the Levy ladies, that went to Tallahassee last week, and we had a wonderful tour guide. Basically, it was Dr. McDougall from Gray Robinson. Spent the day, all day Tuesday. I believe we had 10 appointments that day. I had to leave to go to Orlando, but Miss Linda, Miss Lisa, and Miss Ashley stayed overnight, went back to the Capitol, and did another round the next day until 4 o'clock, I believe, right? Until 4 o'clock. The one-pagers that you all did were spectacular. I think everybody appreciated those one-pagers very much so. So we'll move forward and be present with our legislation and just stay up there as much as we can and build great relationships. And I think we can see that already, because we were very welcomed, extremely welcomed. So there's that. And also tomorrow, the admin lunch. Dr. McDougall I want to give her another shout out. Her company, Gray Robinson, is sponsoring the lunch for all admin meeting tomorrow, and that's an all-day meeting. And one little comment, some will understand, some won't, but on some days, we're going to have a new saying, just go to Japan. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Yeah, we know that, we know.
You missed it, guys.
The job has gotten to them. Okay. Mrs. Campbell, do you have any comments at this time?
I don't want to go to Japan. The trip to Tallahassee was really, it was great. It was, I learned a lot. I was very pleasantly surprised by the welcoming reception that we received by each of the aides or senators or representatives, and we did meet with a lot of them. And what I was most impressed with were the people. There were so many of them who had, because I always worry about, we have these lawmakers making decisions about education and they have no idea what they're, voting on or talking about. But I was pleasantly surprised that a lot of these people either were in education at one time or a family member was. And they over and over would mention, my father-in-law's a superintendent, or my mother's been a teacher, so I hear this from them. So some of the things we were saying were, I think, better received because of that, and that was a very pleasant surprise, and I was happy about that. As far as the platform that we presented, we still have some more work to do on the instructional requirements that we presented. We got some suggestions on how to make that more effective, and so Jamie is not in the room right now, but she is going to be asked to help me do that. So we will work on that. Things are going well at Cedar Key School. We had a great talent show. There's a lot of talent in Cedar Key, let me tell you. And it was just amazing. Baseball, softball, and weightlifting are underway, boys weightlifting, and there's a fundraiser coming up, a cornhole and barbecue. DECA Hospitality is sponsoring, and it's a fundraiser for a scholarship. But that's it.
Outstanding. Mrs. Baxter?
Well, Tallahassee was great. I was concerned that we may go up there and not be heard, but I felt like we were heard, and I think it was really appreciated that we had prepared for it and had the one-pagers to give them. And we were so glad to see Senator Stan McClain and Chad Johnson, our representative, and they acted like they had all day to meet with us when we knew they had other meetings. So Dr. McDougall was great. So I think it was a good trip. I think we accomplished something. As far as things going on in the schools, Chiefland FFA had their cake auction that Tammy mentioned, and I'm worried that Mr. Stockman is going to open up a bakery because his cake, I think he needs to bake one for the board next month because, what was the price on it?
$650, I think.
$650 for a cake.
One for $5.
Okay.
Board discount.
But that was great fun. That was my first one. And then at Chiefland Middle High School, their student government, they had a project this year where they helped with the cross-country team, passing out waters and cold towels and things of that nature. And they're trying to get the Gold Medallion Council certification, I guess, or award. And it's a huge record book of everything they do from convention to convention. So they received that and they're thrilled. So, and we'll be visiting Chiefland Elementary today. So that's all I have.
Mr. Wires?
I said, had a good time at the Beast Feast.
Yeah.
Me and Miss Lisa serving up some
Yeah.
venison and some wild turkey.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, had some of our family members helping us cook.
Yeah.
So it was good, and like I said, it's always good to see everybody come out and all the different constitutional officers and different people just throughout the county. Kind of to see how much support people within the county have. So and from the people cooking and the people attending. So that was a good time. That's the thing we said, raised $29,500. So
That's amazing.
yeah, raised a lot of money to help with these schools. Had the opportunity to attend the salutatorium, the valedictorian at Williston. That was very nice. Unfortunately, as far as sports, the basketball team lost a heartbreaker, so they're not be going for a three-peat state championship. Soccer, they didn't make it, and the girls basketball didn't either. But anyway, moved on to baseball, and the baseball team's doing real good. So, Ms. Clemency has a vested interest in that. But after that, I said, looking forward to going to Chiefland after this and see what the Minions got going on over there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Wires. Ms. Clemency?
I'm going to echo what everyone said about Tallahassee. I think our timing was perfect this year for everyone not to be in session. I feel that we were heard, absolutely listened to. I loved having a visual to pass out to everyone also. So hopefully I have a good feeling about the results we'll gain from that. Hated missing the Beast Feast. My daughter was hit with the flu, so I missed all the fun, the rib cook, everything this weekend. And thank you to the district for, I know we're going to make this an exception, not a rule, but I know we have a bus driver shortage, Mr. Wayne, that's affecting several of our sporting organizations this week. So we're doing what we can and kind of putting a Band-Aid on it. So thank everyone that was involved in that, getting creative and making adjustments to the situation. Now, my big issue today is ticket prices at our gates for sporting events. And we all have the luxury of having a pass. But $10, and what I'm asking for first and foremost is to have a uniform price for all of our district schools. I think Chiefland and Bronson are cheaper than Williston. I don't know what the solution is, but to have a $10 price tag on a ticket for, regardless if you're a student or age. So we have one example on a sports team is a kid can only have one parent come because they can't afford to have the mom and dad there. So, or you have a family of 5 that's paying $50 to get into one baseball game. There are 3 games a week. That's $150 for a family of 5. So all we have are the people that can afford to be a sponsor and get the free pass, or school board employees that can get the free pass. So I would love for Union County's cheaper than us. Dixie County's cheaper than us. Dixie, I think, or Union, I think, was $5 at the gate. I would love to see this change today, because we're in the midst of 3 games a week for softball, for baseball, maybe do something, and then for spring events. But we are schools that provide free breakfast and free lunch, but we're asking $10 at the gate for a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old. So I don't know if the solution is to do an adult $7 price and then give a $2 student discount. I don't know what you guys want to do, but I would love for this to be effective today, because I'm seeing it every day.
I remember Annabelle was little, even for the students, if you got AV honor roll, then you got a pass to get into the sporting events. I mean, that's kind of was incentive. I like that. And like I say, at a different pricing, I mean, some counties I've gone to for basketball, baseball, or whatever, and it's like I said, it's some under 6 is not charged at all.
Right.
But paying for, and then, like I said, then a child is like from 7 to 12, and then adults after that.
Why was it raised to $10? Is it because of the cost of referees and umpires, and is that what went up?
That had something to do with it, and also, and just so you know, Mrs. Clemenzi and I discussed this, and of course, you can't have the conversation among the board members, so we did want to bring it up today, and we, as I said, we've talked about it to see how we can move forward immediately, and then maybe kind of go from there to the following year. We are going to ask council how that works, but back to you, Mrs. Campbell. The booster clubs can collect money also and sell season passes, and the money that's collected at the gate goes to the athletic fund. It goes into the school fund. And what happens is the school is then, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. McClellan, the school has to purchase the safety gear of that team, correct?
Typically, that's how that works, and pay for the umpires and.
The refs and the uniforms and helmets and such. I'm sorry?
The trainer cost is about 10,000 a year-ish.
Right.
somewhere in there.
So how it was based is each
So Booster Club can't
Help with
fund
that?
any kind of safety equipment? Is that what you're saying?
They can.
Oh, they can.
can, but
They're
they,
financially able to.
Oh, okay.
And then each administrator at their own school basically set the price
Right.
of what their
Well-
tickets. So that's how we got where we are
Okay.
today.
and some of that fund, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Lake, but some of that is also goes to like non-revenue, like a general fund that is like non-revenue generating sports, like weightlifting. Does some of that money go to?
Those are school internal accounts, so the school, the money can go to other athletic, but it all depends on how it was raised.
Right.
It depends on how that school has set that up.
Right. And I know, I mean, after getting on the board, it's easy to say, oh, this should be what, and then realize there's also the business aspect of it
Yeah.
and having to pay. But this price is not sustainable. It's just too much. It's, in my opinion.
I just attended a basketball game to watch my nephew play in Dixie, and I think it was $5 across the board. But
Yes.
I don't think if they were school age, they paid
Below.
You
below
mean
five.
below
You know,
school
if
age.
they hadn't started kindergarten, I think it's the way it
Well, I
was.
know we try to push this Go Fan, we go back to that. I know like in Williston, it's, Go Fan's $8, but then you pay another $1.90
Yeah.
or whatever fees that they get, or you pay $10. So it's like, you know, it's the same price, but then Chiefland, you know, you get a cash discount, you're just paying, or what I have been before at Chiefland, it's $8, it's $8, you know. You don't, they're not charging you more to discourage you from using, and Wilson's trying to encourage you to use GoFan more.
So the schools can change the fee, where the fee is assessed by the school. Some schools choose to do that, some don't. We would like to reduce cash because of the level of fraud that we're seeing, not just in our schools, but in other districts. Not only the strain that it puts on our bookkeepers to be responsible for that amount of cash. So any platform we can come up with to reduce cash is always a better thing. But there are options to how those fees are assessed, but again, the schools determine to make these decisions on this.
Well, Wilson at least has made adjustment, because at one point, about 2 years ago, when I first joined, it was basically GoFan only. I mean, you couldn't even, you could hook up cash, and then there was people that didn't have any smartphones, and I mean, elderly people or whatever, I mean.
And you're still gonna.
Yeah, I remember my dad, I was having to help him sitting there figure out how to even get to a game to see, you know,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
I don't
So they have
know.
fixed that part,
I agree, $10 for a baseball game,
yeah.
that's
No
crazy.
discount for anyone.
Some prices are crazy. I don't know how we as a board can set a price across the board for the county, because I do not know
Right,
what,
but it's been
what the
why
budget
it
for
was
Chiefland,
raised.
Williston, Bronson, Cedar Key. I don't know those things. I think we might could say, hey, our schools are not gonna charge over X dollars, and y'all figure out how to make it fit in there. I think we need to keep some cash available, but the preferred thing is this electronic tickets. That's the way everything's going in this world. But avoid those fees as much as we can, because we're slowly pricing ourselves out of the game. You know, like you said, a family of 5, which is a fairly common number,
Oh, yeah.
goes to a game. Take football, for example. Football, I would say, hey, yeah, that's worth $8, $9 to go to a football game, sure. But then you take the family of 5, then they're gonna eat, they're gonna buy Coke, they're gonna do this. And if you're like people in Bronson, somebody's gonna hit you up to buy a t-shirt or a cap or something. Pretty soon, Friday night out at a football game for a family has turned into $130, and it ain't long before people are saying, you know, I can sit home. We have a little bit of that in Bronson, and I'll say that. We do not have the greatest of football programs. There's no shame in that. You have to really be committed to your team to come to a Bronson game. And now it's gotten to where it's like, I don't know that I need to spend $50 to come see that Heine beating. And that crowd is dissipating. And, you know, it may be a case of, shoot, it'd be a whole lot better to charge $7 instead of $10. Because 7 times 500 is a whole lot more than $10 times 200.
Mr. Delaney?
That's my thought.
I was just gonna say, if there are proposals being brought back to the board, I don't know if any, sports teams are looking at season passes just to reduce the amount of.
A lot of schools, well, I wouldn't
Okay.
say a lot of
Yeah.
schools, I know some schools do that. It
Okay.
alleviates that problem.
It reduces the transactional cost to the third party, and also reduces the amount of cash that gets handled at the game, which is a safety issue and.
Yeah, I understand GoFund, for the audit, a million reasons, but, I mean, when kids are have to choose between $5 dinner at McDonald's or a $10 baseball ticket, and baseball's different than football, because baseball's 3 times, or in softball,
Right.
3
And
times a
basketball
week,
too.
and
Basketball
basketball,
more.
3 times a week versus football that, how many home games, Mr. Gore? 4 or 5, like for football?
Football, yeah, 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're talking 3 games a week in other sports. It's
There's no
just-
reason they all have to be charged the exact same.
Right.
Do they? Baseball, basketball, stagger it? I mean, you think, I mean, professionals, college, I mean, you pay more for a football game, I mean, because there's less games, so there's been, I think some, maybe some staggered pricing would even, like I say, for, you know, football be higher, and then basketball, and then baseball.
Is this, Ms. Lake, is this too complicated, like per school, in your opinion, to figure out today, to change? Like even if we did a break?
The district can figure this out for you. It has to go back to the principals, it has to go back to the AD. This cannot be a district level decision because we have pressures on each one of those accounts. Trainers, bus drivers, for the away games they have to cover. There's just things that are covered in some of the, well, I'm sorry, you do take the bus driver for that. But there's too many moving parts for finance to make that decision, Mr. Matt is much
But we
better
could make a
to answer that.
recommendation, can't we, for it to be
Yeah.
looked at again and offer some suggestions?
And I have put it on the agenda for the next
Okay, good,
meeting,
Okay.
the next district meeting.
yeah.
I mean, I wish we
As
could do
well.
a student break.
We've
the fact that
referenced
today-
the trainers multiple times. The kids no longer pay for the trainers?
They do, they pay for, well, each school has discretion on how they do that. That was the one thing the board said, we don't care how it's paid, so the schools each do a little bit different formula for how that's
I
paid.
think we might ought to look back at having the kids pay for the trainers.
Well, kids do pay an athletic fee, the district still bears the weight of that contract,
Sure.
which is pretty big. So schools have discretion on how they pass along that cost to the kids, whether it's every club, whether it's every athletic event. But again, I would probably rather someone else that knows school level stuff better than me talk about what that looks like in reality.
Yeah, I mean, in Chiefland, the way the trainer fee is paid is there's $1 out there a ticket taken. So an $8 ticket, schools actually gets 7 for the athletics, and then $1 goes to the trainer. As a principal, I didn't want to put that on my kids because I knew a lot of them couldn't afford it, and then it's going to fall back to a booster club or something like that in the end. So let's just let community and then the visitors also help pay for that fee. So it's worked out well. Where I was at, we've always had enough money to make the payment there. A lot of the problems that these prices have to go up is because the officiating costs is
Yeah,
going
right.
through the roof. And the problem is they're the only game in town, so you can't really do anything about it. So they just keep jacking the prices up and travel prices and all this. So in order to actually, have enough money in your account to buy uniforms and those type of things, you have to raise it. Now, I don't know what that looks like for every school. I can only speak for the one that I was at, but, we had our tickets at $8 and then we took $1 off of the trainer.
To touch on a little bit of the official thing Mr. McClellan just referred to, a couple of years ago, we actually looked at schools, we let the schools decide what association they choose, but we looked and see what, if there was a competitive association out there. And basically what we were told is because there was such a shortage of officials, is yes, we'll take you on, or no, we don't have room for you in our association, meaning we don't have enough officials to cover your games. So basically, we were told if you come, you might end up having to cancel games because we won't have officials to cover for you. So they kind of got us between a rock and a hard place there, and with those increased prices.
Yeah, that was something I noticed this past year with the officials. They'd gone sky high. And this may sound silly, but they went sky high on that. You had to have travel costs and all that. But the one where it was really like, really guys, the officials that would come to the football games, they would be fed. Didn't matter what was being served. They wanted multiples of the most expensive items. Wasn't nobody eating a hot dog and a Coke. They want, oh, y'all got this tonight? That's what I want. At a cost to the athletic department. And it was disregard. I mean, I've seen them grab the, one time we had these taco things that were very expensive. They eat a couple bites, throw it away, and then go get something else. And it's like, really? Use some sense. I mean, it was abuse. It's to the point of abuse.
Ms. Clemency, to kind of answer one of your questions there, we went to a pass for these sports to have multiple games during the week. It'll get outrageous. I calculated it's about, $1,200 to $1,400 a season for a family of 5.
Right.
So we went to all these games. So what we did is we did a baseball, softball pass for a family up to 6 people, and it was like $200 or something like that. So a family could purchase that and then go to all those games. We would do that for basketball season because, we have to raise prices or keep our prices at a certain level, but, these are still our community. So we want to make it as affordable as possible to get people to come and watch your children or your nieces and nephews. So the passes really seemed to work, and that helped. I mean, if I only had to pay $250 for my whole family of 6, and then I got into every game that season, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Big savings.
So we did that. Not everybody can do that, to pay that,
Right, at one time.
and, at one time, but, and we made little passes for it, we did it at 6 because we have some big families. But it seemed to really, the community like that.
Yeah, and we would probably make more money if we had a student price, because the students aren't coming. So we would make money if we dropped the student price to whatever everyone decides.
Students buy Coca-Colas. Really?
I still like I said at one point with the academics. I mean, reward some of these kids
I
that's doing good
agree.
academics.
They
At least
need-
discounted prices
they
or
need
something.
incentives.
You're right.
We were talking about student price, so what we did at my school, is if you are participating in a fall sport, whether it was cross-country or whatever it is, you got into every fall sport for free. So if you participated in winter sport, you know, every winter sport and so forth with spring. So that way, I wanted my athletes to be able to go to any sporting event they wanted to during that season. And also, it was a way of getting kids that maybe couldn't afford to get into a sport, let's try and draw them into playing something, and then they can go to everything for free. And that really worked out for us, as well as letting those kids, those athletes into all day athletic.
That's what we do in Bronson. If you're an athlete, you get into, and that includes a cheerleader.
Yeah.
You know, you get into the other things for free.
And it works very well.
Yeah, there's that, but I still don't think a four-year-old should be paying $10.
Well,
So-
now, I believe it's kindergarten and up
On-
that
It,
pay.
in Chiefland it is.
It's
Yeah,
Cleveland
in
it is, so I
Chiefland.
don't know
Yeah, Cedar Keats,
how it is anywhere else,
school age.
but school-age children and up are the only ones that pay.
All right, so it sounds like we're gonna have this on a future meeting. We're also getting input all over the place, and it's, I don't see how the district can make this decision. I mean, it's a schoolhouse decision, but maybe we can look into some way to, some ideas from us going, hey, we gotta do something about this.
And I appreciate you bringing this up,
That's great.
so we can talk about it together like this. I appreciate that very much.
That's fantastic. Do you have anything?
No, I'm done.
Now it's my turn. I'm gonna hold you here till 11, just 'cause I
We throw stuff at you.
got First of all, I wanna thank everybody that was able to, yes, sir.
Well, real quick.
No,
So, to touch on Ms. Clemency, we'll get the ADs together as a
Okay.
district, and we'll meet, and, Mr. McClellan would be glad to come back and report.
You did so good today, right?
Yeah, but we want you to know that we're gonna look
Okay.
at the ADs, ASAP and come up with a resolution for
we're gonna have an AD cadre ASAP. All right. So I want to thank everybody who came out to the annual Food Fest. This year it was the most successful one we have ever had, and it was an off year, so that means everybody participated and everybody had a good time. That lemon cake came from up there, and it's supposed to be fantastic, and I will definitely take a slice of that before I go, because I've always wanted to try that cake. But I couldn't afford it. Anyway, I still can't afford it. Took 10 of us to buy that cake. I'd also like to say on that particular night, I appreciate my friend Mr. Whitehurst letting me remind him how great Bronson is. On that night, he was fully accepting of that. He was good. Even his old daddy said, you know, man, I may have to move to Bronson. It's good. Let's tell a lie right here. Okay. Want to congratulate Bronson's middle school softball team. They won the Samco tournament this past weekend in Trenton. Also, the Bronson FFA chapter finished second in the state in poultry judging, and then they finished sixth in the state in the milk quality contest, which is a new thing. And I don't personally know, but I have been told that may be the grossest contest ever, because you have to be able to taste the milk to tell what's wrong with it, and that's tricky. I don't really like milk that much anyway, except milk chocolate, so I don't know that I would jump in on that. Other than that, we've made it through National FFA Week, and it was fantastic, wasn't it? And we appreciate everything. Everything seems to be going good. That's a great idea on that uniform pricing. I like that. Anyway, if there's nothing else, we will adjourn to Chiefland Elementary School.